Hi guys, my name is Sarah Quintero and this is my therapeutic craft presentation for Human Occupations 1. I chose the craft of cross-stitching. It is one of the oldest forms of embroidery and can be found all over the world. The basic premise of it is an X-shaped, so a cross stitch in tiles that are created in these tiles, in these square tiles here, that then form a pattern. I chose this craft because my grandmother was a master crocheter, and when I was younger she would try and teach me how to crochet blankets and crochet whatever she was working on. She used to even crochet doilies. Multiple times she tried, multiple times she failed. It was not my forte. However, this for me was my redemption. I wanted to do some form of sewing. Crocheting would have taken me months to learn. So I want to do some form of sewing that would kind of make me feel as if I was doing something that she would have done or would have taught me, but doing it in my own way and something that I knew I could do. So the main steps you do in this activity are: first you need your sure grip hoop, which is this yellow thing, and then you also need your cross stitch cloth. You're going to need a needle and thread, and in my case I also needed my pattern, okay, which also shows you the colors and the numbers of the colors of the thread that you will need. And then you will separate all of your thread into big bundles like this and just have them off to the side ready to use. So once you've decided where to start, you're going to, and mind you, I'm doing this backwards so you can see, is you're going to start from underneath and you're going to poke through one of the corners of the hole. And a master crochet, or excuse me, cross stitcher will take all of their lines and go the exact same way. So you're going to want to count out your number of tiles on your pattern. That way you know how many you want to go across. That way you can make it all uniform. So then you're going to go up across and you're going to push that through, because again, I would be sitting like this with it in my lap versus the way I'm showing you now. Then from there, you're going to go right underneath that one and push or pull through, and then push or pull through across, making in essence a X, a cross stitch. And then you will continue that pattern. Something I learned in this is that it's easier just to do all the stitches one way and then come back the other way. It's just more efficient that way. Something that caused me problems in the beginning was all of the thread. So it comes, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, in this big bundle, and then if you notice they come off in little pieces. So initially, as embarrassing as this is, I tried to put this whole entire thing through the needle. If you can see, there is not a single instruction. It just kind of tells you what the stitch should look like. It doesn't tell you anything about the thread. So after YouTube and after talking to a client of mine who actually does cross stitch pretty frequently, she basically told me to hold the one string that I want, and then you take this guy and you pull it straight down, and literally there you go. So then you have to thread that one through the needle, which will then give you two pieces that you're pulling through. So that was the first problem that I had. I would get knots in the other side when I was trying to pull them across, and on the big one here. And so that was an issue for me. YouTube was extremely helpful as well. I used as many resources as I could, but YouTube was really awesome. They had a lot of different people on there talking about how to do it, what to do, which way to take your stitches, and so on and so forth. For me, this one was pretty easy. Basically because it was, I mean, this is what I got. I got in my first stitch kit. So it was pretty easy, very self-explanatory as far as what it was supposed to look like. Nothing over grand, over the top. There are more intricate and more detailed pictures. But for me, once I got going and once I kind of had the swing of it, I would just kind of like take a pen, mark off where I wanted to start, mark off where I wanted to finish, do that whole entire color, and then move on to the next color. Some of the challenges that I faced were threading the needle. I actually at one point went out and bought a needle with a larger eye because I thought I needed to thread all that thread. Come to find out, you really just need to have this. But even still, it was a little difficult. If you have bad eyesight, thankfully I do not, but I did have to be in a well-lit area to be able to push that thread through the needle and then pull it through. So that was one of the challenges. The other one is if you miscount your squares and you keep going, your whole entire pattern is going to be off. The colors will be off if you're doing the wrong color, or if you went too far on a letter, it's going to affect the way that your pattern looks. Couple things though. One is you can back this out, so you can pretty much just retrace your steps back through, and that will pull the thread. Worst case scenario, you can literally just take a small pair of scissors and press out and pull, or cut them out and pull it out. So it's no harm done, no harm, no foul. It's just wasted time. This craft was pretty meaningful to me for a couple reasons. One is I am a crazy busy person, so I'm constantly on the move. Rarely do I sit down, especially with school. Unless the only time I'm sitting down is when I'm studying. But I rarely sit down just to enjoy something for myself like this, unless it's at the end of the night and I'm unwinding. So for me, it was awesome to know that if I really wanted to sit down and focus on something like this, I could get it done from start to finish, and it got pretty relaxing once I kind of got the hang of it. The other one is I am the least bit creative person in my entire family. So for me, this is about as creative as I get, but I love my finished product and I think it's pretty awesome. What you're supposed to do with this is you're supposed to put it in a frame. I didn't do that right now because otherwise I wouldn't be able to show you, but then you take this guy out of the Sure Grip hoop and you put it into a frame and you can hang it on your wall, which I'm going to do because, again, like I said, I'm pretty proud of it. Plus, I think my grandmother would be pretty proud of me because even though she wasn't a cross stitcher, crochet, sewing, whatever she was doing, I feel like had I sat down and done this with her, she would have enjoyed spending that time with me and me with her as well. Culturally, at this moment, all the women in my family do some form of sewing, crocheting. They're always working on a blanket, always working on something. And so for me, this means that if I wanted to, I could bring something with me the next time we all get together and I could be sitting in that circle as well. Maybe not on the level they're at, but at least I could feel like I'm part of that group and part of what the women in my family do. The type of client I think would be best for this would be somebody, or who could benefit from it, would be somebody who needs to work on focus, work on steps, work on separating colors, work on counting, anything of that nature. However, if they have any issues with fine motor skills, this could become a problem because obviously this needle, like I talked about, is really small. And if they have any issues with eyesight, that could be an issue as well. But if you are working on your fine motor skills and you're already in the process and you're gaining progress, I feel like this would be a great opportunity to incorporate something a little different into their therapy. However, if you have any issues with upper extremities, hands, wrists, elbows, shoulders, this is going to be difficult because you're literally sitting like this and kind of going up and down through the cross stitch. So anything like that is going to be an issue, or if they cannot sit for long periods of time. Again, I broke this up into pieces. I did not sit here and do this all at once. So it was piece by piece. In order to grade this activity down, there's an option for a larger cross stitch fabric. So these squares that you see here are a lot larger, which means the needle is larger, the thread's larger. There's also a little accessory to help you put the thread through the eye of the needle. So that's helpful as well. To grade the activity up, there are extremely intricate, detailed pictures, such as I saw a bird, and literally if I did that, every single square here would be covered with a color. So imagine the amount of focus on counting colors, just following that pattern that you would have to do. It would take an extreme amount of focus. I would definitely make it more difficult for the client, but if they're ready for it, I think it would be awesome. Overall, really enjoyed this activity. I don't know if I will continue cross stitching. I enjoy reading. That's kind of my downtime when I have downtime, but this is definitely something that my daughter was asking questions about. So maybe eventually at some point in her life, this could be something that we do together. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you so much.